Trump announced ceasefire, Iran immediately launched missiles at Israel. At this critical moment, Macron trying to drag China into the situation. How true the ceasefire Trump mentioned? How China responding to Macron's proposal?
Hello everyone, I'm Kwan. Welcome to Global Express.
On June 23rd, US President Trump announced on social media that Israel and Iran agreed to a ceasefire effective 6 hours later. Per the agreement, Iran would observe a 12-hour ceasefire, followed by Israel for another 12 hours, officially ending the conflict. Based on current info, Trump's statement was confirmed by White House sources. Vice President Vance stated Iran accepted ceasefire terms, and the U.S. struck 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities, achieving the goal of curbing the nuclear program. The war could be stopped, but Iran quickly refuted the claim. Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi made it clear there was no formal ceasefire agreement and Iran had never received an official proposal. Tehran emphasized that only if Israel stopped attacking Iran before 4 a.m. Tehran time would Iran cease retaliation. Furthermore, he said Iran's punishment would continue until the last moment. At 4 a.m., the Israeli military announced it detected another missile launched by Iran. This was not an accidental exchange of fire, but a clear sign of mutual distrust. The U.S. claimed a ceasefire had been reached, while Iran said they never signed anything. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu instructed cabinet members not to comment publicly on the ceasefire. From this series of events, it is clear Trump could not control the conflict. He could only use limited strikes and media campaigns to cool things down. Of course, U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities had an effect. Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan's triple nuclear facilities were attacked. The International Atomic Energy Agency also stated it would reassess damage. However, Iran had already moved much highly enriched uranium to secret locations, greatly diminishing the precision strike's results. In other words, the U.S. destroyed visible facilities, while Iran kept the hidden core. Israel is not satisfied. If Iran's nuclear capability hasn't been eliminated, military action continues. Trump wants to wrap things up and walk away, having declared victory and crafted the image of a peaceful president. This contradiction brings suspense to whether a ceasefire will happen. For the Iranian nuclear issue, the U.S. proposed a compromise. Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE form a uranium enrichment alliance, with facilities distributed across countries and results jointly owned, so each country keeps others in check. In this way, Iran would have the right to civilian nuclear energy, but would not independently control the entire process. This plan is fairly reasonable for the United States and the Arab countries of the Middle East, but Israel is likely to find it hard to accept. Israel wants to maintain its status as the region's only nuclear state and will not allow Middle Eastern countries to get close to the nuclear threshold. At this critical nuclear juncture, European countries have also stepped in. French President Macron, during a meeting with the Norwegian Prime Minister in Oslo, criticized the U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities as lacking legitimacy. He warned that if Iran blocked the Strait of Hormuz, the impact on China and many other countries would be enormous. This rhetoric is familiar. Europe and the U.S. criticize Iran, then call on China to act responsibly, mediate, and bear costs. But China is not a party to the conflict, nor its driver. China's response is clear. China and Iran maintain communication, oppose regional escalation, and urge restraint. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated China will continue to play a constructive role and will not accept pressure. Any attempt to shift blame will not be accepted. China has taken precautions regarding the potential crisis in the Strait of Hormuz. The China Shipowners Association requires all shipping companies to report daily vessel movements through the strait. Concurrently, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson stressed that the Persian Gulf is a vital international passage, its security a common international interest, urging de-escalation. Solid confidence underpins these pragmatic measures. China's diverse oil import sources make it more resilient to blockades than Europe, which relies heavily on Persian Gulf oil. Moreover, near the Middle East's powder keg, China consistently promotes peace and dialogue. Foreign Minister Wang Yi, speaking with Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi, emphasized strengthening communication and playing a constructive role in easing the situation. China understands that preventing escalation protects global interests, including its own. From this perspective, Trump's so-called ceasefire is not solid, it's more publicity than substance. The actual implementation is chaotic, and the deep-rooted conflict between Israel and Iran remains unresolved. The ceasefire is just a temporary breather and could break down at any moment. But regardless, one thing must be made clear. China is not a party to the Middle East conflict, nor should it be tied to any responsibility for it. As things stand, the Middle East issue is far from over. The ceasefire is just a temporary pause that could be lifted at any time. the game in northern Iraq, the deadlock over the nuclear agreement, and the reshaping of the regional landscape will all see new developments in the coming weeks.